Round 1 of the championship takes us to Bahrain. The track hosted its first The Challenge Grand Prix back in 2020, which was won by the two-time champion Nicolas Ramachi last year. And after qualifying, it seems that Ramachi can go for a back-to-back victory in the Sakir Desert. In qualifying, Ramachi once again dominated the field by just 3/10 ahead of Dragon Asic in the Alpine. Maurizio Tessa made a surprise third in the Mandre car, while the Australian test race winner Luka Lukic only started 4th. Scudetto and Servo slides up in 5th and 6th in the Mandri and Greek racing team cars, but two rookies made it to the top 10 for their first ever qualifying in the Challenge F1 season. These two drivers are Juan Guerrero in 7th and Tim Schmidt in 9th, both driving for the Delta Racing team. One of the miles cars has successfully made it into the top 10 since Silverstone 2020, with Boom Bart leading the team for this race. The tension grows and excitement builds as the new The Challenge 2021 season will be on the way soon. Ramachi gets a perfect launch at the start and uses the engine power to cut Dragnastic off coming into turn 1. Dragon tries to attack from the outside, but Ramachi knows where to place the car. Back behind the leaders, there's a huge battle going on for 3rd place. Everybody's overtaking everybody left, right and center. Juan Guerrero tried to take Bart around the outside, but seemingly Bart is having none of it and also passes Tessa in the Mandarin car. And Juan Guerrero follows them. Incredible battle by these two. It's now or never for Dragon. He knows if he can't get ahead right now, Ramachi might use the engine power to get away from him. But they don't call Ramachi the two-time world champion for nothing. He perfectly positions his car and gets away from him. Meanwhile, further back, there's the battle of the two rookies between Caproni and Schmidt. They are side by side going down the straight, but make it 3 wide as the BT slows down for something. Schmidt tries to take 2 on 1. He overtakes Caproni, but 1's wide. And now he's side by side with the BT. But look who's coming for a dive bomb down the inside. Caproni makes it as easy as you like as Harry Smith in the other Miles Power car goes off the track. And when he comes back, Colita is ahead of him. And now Tartari is coming on the straight. He's using the engine advantage over the Miles Power car to take the place. After lap 1, it's Ramachi from Dragon, Lukic, but behind, Bart is trying to overtake one of the Mandalay cars for 5th. He uses the engine advantage and slipstream to perfection to take the place. This maneuver caught up Tissa napping, and now look who's coming behind. At the rear of the field, there's another battle going on between the rookies. The Carl and Bubek going side by side on the straight. But that Alpine car is pretty much powerful on the braking, so it's no problem for Bubek to take the place. Back at the front, the battle between the two Mandre cars continues. Close, but not close enough. But now, coming into the last corner, Tessa makes a move to the inside. But thinks better of it, backs it off, and then starts attacking him on the straight coming into the next lap. But look who's joining the party! Juan Guerrero gets a much better exit and uses the engine power over the Mandalay cars to surprise them, and takes 2 positions for 1. Both of the Mandalay cars tries to dive back down the inside. Tessa doesn't make it, but Scudetto did, only for a short amount of time, as Juan Guerrero once again uses the engine power to blast past the Mandalay car, but he's only ahead for 5 seconds. Scudetto comes out of nowhere and retakes the place. Incredible battle! Back behind, rookie Carpuni has to defend from Harry Smith in the other miles powered car. But eventually, Harry gets a better exit as Carpuni rides on the curb, and he's been paused by the miles powered car. Up ahead, Juan Guerrero is ready for round 2. Dives down the inside, and this time he makes the position. But Scalone is having none of it. He gets the corner a bit and tries to switch back move on Juan. But once again, Juan has the better engine and gets back into 6th. And this time, stays ahead of the Mandres. Incredible battles, and these were the first few laps. And it's still far from over. The battle of the Mandre cars lights up once again. But this time, Tessa makes it easy. Scudero was already fallen down to 8th, and now he's been attacking one of the Racing Mertus cars. Up at the front, there's a battle for 4th place between Mark Zervos and Boom Bart. But there's action further down the field. Rookie Carponi has tried to defend an attack from Tartari. He runs wide at the chicane, and that gives Tartari a chance. Caproni is on the track again, and Tartari easily moves up a place. Back at the front, Ramacci is still leading for his team, followed by Dragon in the Alpine. Lukic was 3rd, but the battle for 4th continues to rage on. There is no power deficit between the Miles Power car and the Greek racing car, but the slipstream can decide anything. Bart brakes latest, tries to go around the outside, but that isn't gonna work, and Bart has to stay behind for another lap. Another lap, another battle for the Mandres. Bart is back for more. Instead of trying to take him around the outside, he does a switchback to attack the Greek racing car. But he loses the back end, and instead of gaining a position, he lost 1 to 1. Marx has successfully defended an attack against Bart, but let's see what he can do about Juan Guerrero. A whole train is starting to queue behind Zervos. The first ones to join the party is Mandre Racing Team, who continues their in-team battle. Bart is trying to look for an opening, but he can't find it. Now Juan has caught up to Zervos. If he passed Bart so easily coming into the next lap, Zervos should be easy as well, right? Juan gets a better exit and they almost touch. And then he makes a side-by-side with Zervos coming into the next lap. He has the inside lane, so he should take the position. And look who's coming back for more once again. Zervos tries to dive down back the inside of Juan, but he can't make it. Now Bart is trying to get the benefits of it. Bart brakes later than Juan, but Zervos brakes later than both of them, while he can't get the positions back. And thanks to that maneuver, Bart gains 2 places instead of 1. Abiti in the Racing Mertus cars has cut off to the Mandre team, and soon he starts to catch up to a lot of cars in front. But first off, he had to take care of Scudellaro. Bart got a bad exit, and this opened the opportunity for Juan Guerrero to attack him on the straight. And now they are side by side coming into the start-finish straight. Juan edges himself ahead, but can he defend from Bart? The answer is yes, for now. At the back of the train, Abiti is finally caught up to Scudellaro. Now he's trying to take him on the next straight. The Mandriga has a much better traction than the Racing Motor 2's car. And they've touched! And Abiti just slams into the barrier! He needs to get back to the pits for a new front wing and maybe some tire change, but let's look back at the battle for 4th! Zavos is back for more and he tries to take Bart in turn 8! Bart tries to break Raiders, but he collides with Juan and flips the car upside down! Juan has got some damage as well as he spins into the track! Both of them surely got damage after this one! Zavos now defended against Juan and Bart for the last few laps. Now he has to defend from the Mandre cars! His first attacker is Tessa. Unlike in Bart's and Juan's situation, he has the engine advantage over the Mandre cars, since they are running Toyota engines, while his car is using a Ferrari engine. As Juan and Bart came out of the pits, they hit traffic. Their first target is Stefano Colita. Zavos is in combat once again, this time with Tessa. Maybe the Mandrica is faster in the corners. But the Greek team racing car is faster in the straight. Tessa gets the better traction and uses a slipstream to good effect. They are side by side. And Zavos gets back ahead, but not for long. Tessa pulls off a switchback move to try to attack Zavos once again. Zavos runs a bit wider there, and Tessa uses that to his advantage to take the position. Although Zavos has a few words for this. At the end of the lap, Butek has made his first stop. But let's turn our attentions back to the front. Zavos tries to make the dive down the inside of Tessa, but Tessa keeps the door shut, unlike Stefano Colita, who is being passed by Bart. Or has he? On board with Bart, who's trying to go for another move at the end of the straight. And he uses the engine advantage and slipstream over Colita to swoop past him. Now Juan is on the move again, and he's attacking Alessandro Getty for 7th. Although he doesn't even need to try as Getty runs wide and he easily gets the position. In 4th, it's Tessa against Zavos, round 2. The Mandre car is so much faster than the Greek racing car in the corners, so he moves his move into the inside before the straight and takes the position. Or not, as he slides wide and Zavos takes back the position. Zavos is really showing his defensive skills. Further back in the field, Bart is on the move again. Although it seems Getty might be a bit tougher than he expected, but he used slipstream to good effect, only to outbrake himself. Into the pits at the end of this lap, it's Tim Schmidt and Elio Tartari, as they are both making their first stops. Bart slides onto the curb and this gives Colita a little bit of a chance. Back at the front, Remachi is still dominating the Grand Prix ahead of Dragon and Lukic. Back in 8th, it's Getty against Bart, round 2. They are side by side coming into the start-finish straight, and engine advantage could be a key role here. And now look who's attacking Getty, Colita from behind. Getty once again tries to fight back. They are still side by side. But eventually Bart gets ahead of him. And Getty runs wide, giving 2 positions to Colita and Harry Smith. Up in front, Zervos has been passed by both of the Mandre cars, and now look who's coming behind him. Zervos knocks Scudellaro a bit, as Juan Guerrero is back for another round. Juan tries to go for the inside, but Zervos turns defending to attacking. Or at least he tried to. At the end of the lap, Colita is now in the pits. It's the battle of the rookies, DeCarlo against Butze. But this is way much easier than the Alpine driver has expected. As the leaders make their pit stop, the positions are remaining the same, except that Lukic stays out to lead the Grand Prix. Another train of cars comes into the pits as Bart stays out for a few more laps. Looks like there's a bit of a misunderstanding in the Mandre box. Tessa has misjudged his box, so he has to reverse, losing more time in the process. Looks like Zervos and Juan can leave each other alone even in the pit lane, as the Greek racing car gets a much better stop, and he's side by side with Juan. But eventually, the Delson racing car gets the better of him. As the others are making their pit stop, there is something that we can look at it. It's Petrescu against DeCarlo. But DeCarlo decides to take a cheeky little shortcut against his rival. Now they are side by side, and DeCarlo gets a position. But as he tries to defend, Petrescu barges his way through. And DeCarlo is still having none of it. Just ahead of him, Caproni is chasing Tartari. And he got in a spin. And he lost 2 positions because of that. Bart makes its final stop along with the others. And gets back just behind Colita and Tessa. Up in front, the titanic battle between Zervos and Guerrero still continues to rage on. And Zervos makes a massive dive into turn 8 and gets past Juan. Nobody expected that, but he gets a worse attraction than Juan. And Juan stays ahead of him. Zervos tries to go for another dive, but Juan closes the door. And now look who's joining the party. And coming into the next braking zone, Scudero gets past Zervos as well. Although Zervos tries to fight back, but Scudero has a slipstream from Juan. That gives him a better opportunity to defend from Zervos. Ahead of this trio, Gaddy comes into the pits. He is making his final stop as well, but let's turn back on track for the action. Zervos goes for it once again, And they touched a bit! That little nudge from Scudamaro was enough to send Zervos wide. Finally, Scudamaro can take a breather after this action. Juan currently lies in 5th, but Harry hasn't made its final stop yet. And eventually, at the end of the lap, he comes into the pits. He comes back on track just behind the dueling pair of Kalita and Bart. We haven't seen too much from Lostia as he tries to make a move on Gatti. Although Gatti's car is so much better in the corners. Bart is on the move again. Now he's trying to pass Kalita once again. He gets it done, but can he stay ahead of him?
Why did he have to change line? I lock up, he changes line.
Look further behind. Here comes Lostia. Bertek is coming into the pits for his final stop, but as we switch back on track, Lostia is on the move again. But Gatti slits wide and hits Lostia! Luckily no damage was done for the two drivers or the cars, and Gatti waits for Lostia to come back on track.
Yeah guys, this guy is honestly so stupid.
Focus on traffic now.
And sure enough, Gatti comes back for another round. But the Racing Scuderis car has the better engine. Back up in front, Remachi is just a few laps away to take his second win in a row at the Bahrain circuit. Now, after all this action, let's ride on board on the reigning Turbo Time World Champion. Someone has pulled off the side of the track, and it's Tim Schmidt. His decent debut in the Challenge Formula 1 series goes up in flames. Back in front, Tessa is still trying to get past Zervos. Zervos takes defensive action, and he gets the place back for now. But not for long. Zervos runs wide, and Tessa gets past him. Even though Tessa does the same, Zervos makes another mistake, as he runs wide again at the end of the chicane, and still manages to force himself through Tessa. But Tessa gets the position back. Seems like Zervos is picking up a fight with everybody today. In the Silver Cup series, a lot of drivers had brake failures at the end of the race, and the top class wasn't different from this. But nobody expected the first brake failure from Lukic.
Okay, we might have lost rear brakes now. We are boxing the snap. Boxing the snap.
Okay, box.
Okay. Sorry, mate.
And with just 2 laps to go from the race, his brakes had finally totally given up as he smashes into the barrier at the end of turn 1. That's it. Game over for the new championship contender. And that means that this first ever Grand Prix start, rookie Juan Guerrero is on the podium. But there are still a few laps to go from this race, and we saw that brake failure could struck anybody. The next victim was DeCarlo. He suffered a brake failure too, seemingly, as he runs wide at every section of the track now. The next team to suffer a brake failure is Miles Power Mechanics. First, for Harry.
Brakes failed. The brakes failed. Brakes failed. No more brake pedal. Brake line exploded.
But doesn't make it back into the pits, or to the end of the race either, as he has to fall off after taking heavy damage after sliding wide at turn 7. And eventually, Bud has to suffer from the same fate as well.
Brakes failed.
But there were no problems from Nicolas Romacci as he rounds the final corner to win the first race of the season in Sakir. Dragon finishes second, just behind his championship rival, to say the least. Even though he's suffering from the brake failure he got earlier, Bart is still destined to bring the car home and finish in 9th. The happiest man of the day is Juan Guerrero, who gets his first podium at his first ever start of the Challenge 2021 F1 season. The two Mandray cars finished 4th and 5th respectively. The Greek racing team has scored its first points in debut with Mark Servos in 6th. Then came Stefano Colita and Ken Dall'Ostia as Bart managed to limp home to everyone's surprise, while Elsa Nagati got his first ever point of the Challenge Series. The standings are just the same as the results were at the end of this race, Romacci leading just ahead of Dragon. In constructors wise, Racing Scuderos takes an early lead at the championship ahead of Landry Racing and Alpine Renault F1 team. The Greek racing team has scored on debut, while Black CF1, Miles Power Mechanics and ATC Racing are the only point scorer teams left on the grid. The championship returns in 2 weeks' time when the drivers head up to Turkey for the Turkish Grand Prix in Istanbul Park.